So many companies say they want culture change, but struggle to implement it. What are the most common mistakes you see leaders make when trying to drive organizational change?
Oh, quite a number, but let's just keep it simple.
Okay.
I think the first thing is that the CEO delegates the change or the culture change, and you set up a committee, and the committee is supposed to implement the change. They have the boss around it, and it will work. It doesn't work. The change has to start from the top. So the CEO has to embed that new culture, live it, walk it, and also demand that it be done. I mean, there's an example here that I think we can, maybe people of a certain age can relate with it. Dora Akinyuli at NAFDAC.
Yes.
Now, Dora, I interviewed her. In fact, her story is in one of my books on change. And she said very clearly to me that to Patutomi and I, we actually interviewed her together. She said, if I were corrupt, the organization would have been corrupt. That the leader determines what happens. So when they see that I am disciplined, I don't give favors to relatives, I don't steal government money, even the board adjusts. The board adjusts, the minister adjusts, the employees adjust. So if you want culture change, you've got, looking at her example, you have to live it. You have to live it yourself. And I think another area is that many times we don't have models to guide us as we drive change. So it's more we pick this, we pick that. Oh, we want to do this, we want to change culture. Okay, let's communicate it. Let's have t-shirts. Let's do this. And we do after the boards and all that, and we finish. But there's a model.
Yes.
And, many decisions are taken in Nigeria based on feelings. I think it's right. I feel, we're not on data.
Yes.
So which model of change works? What should we be looking at? There has to be a vision. Then we look at the targets. What do we want to change? Why? If it's a culture change, we're looking at values. Okay, what are the values that we drive the culture? Now, those values also have to drive the business.
Yes.
We don't want to change a culture because we just want to be nice to people and it's not related to the business. Because many managers will forget about it because it's not related. So we want to make sure that the people realize that these new values, will help us as people, as persons, but also will help the business. So there are a number of challenges there, things that change makers, change leaders often forget. But I think really it starts from the top. The fish rods from the head.
Yes.
If the CEO who is driving that change lives it, it will be done. Dora Akunyuli, everything she did was geared towards the mission of NAFDAC. And that mission was realized in the time she was there. She is a great example national example, all right, of actually having a change program, working and living it and ensuring that everything, your structure, your operations, your people strategy, everything is around that mission and living it. Obviously, you also need, if it's change in the public sector, you need a sponsor. She had a great sponsor in President Obasanjo. So that's why she was able to do that. Because if you don't have somebody who has your back, it's very difficult, to lead that change successfully.
Okay, that's a very good one. But is it also possible that when you have a good leader that embodies all the positive and the good things you just mentioned, is it possible for it not to even still trickle down to the staff as well? Especially if he has charged, like you said, to the HR or the people that is in charge of staff to say, okay, this is my vision for the company. I want everybody to act this way. And even if the staff see it, but it still doesn't trickle down. How can you actually, is that a problem that I can see, or is that something that will cause, and how do you solve that situation?
I think there I can immediately see a communication problem. Not just communication, but winning commitment.
Okay.
That the CEO has seen that this change is needed for the organization is not enough. He and the change team have to go around winning commitment to the change. So it's not to announce the need for change, it's to win their commitment. If I go back to Dora Akunyuli, how do you win their commitment? First, the offices were drab. She created a new office, gave this and provided buses to take them to work and take them back. What that also made sure was that they will work till 4 p.m. every day because the bus leaves at 4 or 5. I don't remember what exact time it was. So what else? She made sure that they had training programs. She made it possible to go abroad for training. If you caught somebody, you blow the whistle on someone, and they found out, yes, that person or that organization was really, dealing with fake drugs, you got a training abroad. So people saw that it was in their interest. They had something to gain from that change. So it's not enough to have the vision, and change cannot be legislated and say, this is what we want, okay, go on, you guys go ahead and implement. You've got to win their commitment. So at every point in the change, you are thinking, how will I win commitment to change?
Okay, that's wonderful. So you approach HR from a research-driven angle. What data or indicators should organizations be paying close attention to when assessing the health of their workplace culture?
I think, of course, the first data is performance. Even if whatever we're assessing, we want to look at whether we're doing well. If we are not a sustainable business, then there's nothing to check. So we want to look at performance data. But I want to refer to something I talked about earlier. I want to look at the level of trust that exists in the organization between bosses and subordinates, between the senior management and the workers, and so on. Because trust levels. What does trust really mean? Trust means that I allow myself to be vulnerable to you in the belief that you will always have my interests at heart. So if I have people actually have the trusting CEOs, trusting their bosses, trusting their colleagues, there is collaboration. You feel psychologically safe. I can give my opinion. I can give ideas because I know that nothing, what I say will not be used against me. So so trust is one of the first things that we have to look at, apart from performance, and then look at trust, and also employee engagement. How do they feel any psychological attachment to the organization, a sense of belonging to the organization? What is driving that? You see that a number of organizations carry out those employee surveys to find out some of these things, and then see how to improve on that. So each organization will have what to watch. This is very general here, but for each organization, maybe trust levels are okay. Maybe the idea is that trust levels are okay for some departments, but not for others. So the data will tell you where to focus attention. But unfortunately, the large companies, the multinationals, do a lot of, they commission research and they work with the results of the research. But some of the medium-sized and small companies do not do enough research, and so the action taking is based on, not data but feelings.
Feelings, yes.
I think employees are okay, and I think yes, we are doing a lot for them. They should be okay, but there may be issues there that they need to address. So obviously, I run a research center for a reason. And I really believe that if you don't do enough research, you don't have data for decision making. Yes. We need data. We will go beyond the data, but first let's put the data on the table and then look at other factors that we must consider before making a decision.
Okay. So even after, some cases, what I've seen or what I've experienced in my own line of, while working is they have the data to even back it up. They've done the research, but it's always more like it comes down to finances that, we can't implement this because we don't have enough finances that will go around for to back whatever changes we want to make. So how do you maneuver yourself in that type of situation whereby the company has all the research, the data to back it up to make the changes, but it always comes down to finances and they can't implement those changes?
It comes back to the relationship between management and the staff. Because one can be transparent and say, you know what, this is what you say you want. This is how we are performing now, and we can't afford to do that now. So can we have a timeline and say, okay, when we get to this level of performance, we do this. When we get to this next level of performance, we do this. What do you think? If people see that you are honest, that the numbers you are showing them are real, not that there are some accountants will say, those are not the numbers, or we made more money, I don't know why they are showing this. If they can, you see where trust comes in. If they can trust the numbers you are sharing, they see that you honestly want to implement this thing. Most people, can't say 100%, but most people will go with that. The challenges, when you take decision without involving them, and they say, we can't do it now. And it's good to remember, because even as we have this discussion, I'm thinking also about small companies, not only the large ones, to remember that some people don't distinguish between revenue and profit. These companies doing very well because they are seeing the revenue that comes in. But hey, the expenses, the expenditures too, and what's the profit we're making? And by not sharing that information, by not being transparent about what we're making, then people think we are making much more and we can afford this change. But when they know the truth, it's easy to have a conversation and to say, okay, what do you want? I know a company that did this. She makes clothes for children, and talk to the tailors. What do you want? What are the issues? And they wrote a long list of things. And she said, okay, but we can't afford this. This is what we can do now. And these are the reasons. But hey, if we can get to this level, we can do that. What happened? They started working because they wanted to get to that level. And when they got to that level, she gave them what had been agreed. Once they see that you keep your word, you can be trusted, they will push to the next level because they know it's also for their benefit. So I think it's just, if we go back to Stephen Covey, just having that like a large heart, and not thinking we have only a small cake and I have to take the large portion of it. Instead, let's grow a big one. And then even if I have only a small portion of that, it's still bigger than what I would have had in the first case. I think with that, so transparency, talking to people, they are adults. They have lives and they have families they are taking care of. If we're open, it's very likely that we'll get a decision that works for all.
I don't know if you agree, but I've always been a believer of that. Sometimes the employees don't even want a lot. If you give them the basic needs for them to work effectively at work and all the things they need to be, even outside, to be comfortable, even if you're not paying so much, but they're comfortable at work and they have everything they need, I think they'll be happy to stay with you in that company. So it just goes back to, like you said, open communication and being honest about where you are as a company and where you want to go to. But when you don't have that open communication, that's where the problem is. Like you said, it goes back to trust.
Yeah, in fact, following up on that, I know a company where a number of the staff, we would say the junior staff, said in that research that they don't want to leave the company. And they've had some of the customers, offering them interesting, positions with higher salaries and so on. Said, we can't leave because here we are treated with respect. Nobody talks to us disrespectfully. If they do, we can take it up, But I don't want to go to this other place because, they may pay me more, but hey,
no respect.
They don't treat me as a human being. So they're afraid of going out because sometimes we think it's all about money, but it is not.
It's not.
It's not. It's a place that respects your dignity and also recognizes the fact that you have family, you have, people to take care of, and is worried or concerned about your work-life balance, your health, all those things also come into bear for some people. And they're willing to give up a more lucrative job, for that. The terrible thing is when you can't pay well, and on top of that, you don't respect people.
It's that's just toxic horizon. I think that's another discussion for, because the mental health balance is very, very key. But I think it also depends as a person, as an individual. What do you value more? Is it your mental state or the money that you value most? Someone like me, I feel like you can pay me so much, but if I'm in a company that is toxic, because I'm waking up every day thinking, I'm going to this company, as in I can't start today. Exactly. You're already giving yourself that panic. You're already feeling that you're going to go to work. You're going to be angry. So there's no point. So the money is just like a buffer, but you're not really happy. So what's the point? You're going to be sad. So I think it also depends on the individual. What do you say? What do you prioritize? Is it your your health of mind, your state, your well-being, or the finances. I think it differs for every individual, so it depends on what you want.
True.
Really, but like you said, it's still. The company should still provide those things for the staff as well, so they can stay. Because, like you said, it's not all about money. But I think if as a company you provide all those things, the staff will be willing to stay, and they might just even not think about the money aspect of it. But if they like the company, they will stay for a longer period. And even when they leave,
and work to make more money so that they can be paid more.
Exactly.
Because they have to trust. They trust you that if there is money, you will pay.
Exactly.
You're not taking advantage of them.
True.
But you're not able to pay much now. So they will stay with you to build it.
Exactly.
And then you have to pay when you are able to pay. If you are not able to pay at that time, if you are able to pay but you refuse to pay, you break trust.
Yes.
And once trust is broken, everything changes.
It's gone. True. That's a good one. In your experience, how does strong leadership directly influence employee engagement and retention, particularly in fast-growing sectors like hospitality and services?
I think we've kind of talked about it.
Yes,
strong leadership and employee engagement, because really at the end of the day, what is this about? That I trust my leader. I think I've been talking about trust a lot, and let me share this because I'm seeing now organizations. I've not researched yet, but anecdotal evidence. Let's say organizations that have been destroyed by some senior management because of corrupt practices. And this is, and you just said a multinational is leaving Nigeria, and you're like, oh, terrible thing to happen. But you see, a lot of their revenues have been taken out because some of the senior people have deals with suppliers and so on. So those who are below them are watching and they hear all kinds of rumors. So how can I be engaged? The example I'm getting is one of corruption. There is no integrity here. So how can I be engaged? Even my retention, my staying there, I start wondering, is this sustainable? And they're teaching me the wrong behavior. So that's the negative side of it. But on the positive side is really, I think one manager in one of the multinationals told me many years ago, he said, those factory workers will go to war with you blindfolded. Why would anyone go to war blindfolded? Because they trust you. You see why I keep coming back to trust? They know that even if I'm blindfolded, you are going to be thinking about my interests.
Yes.
I trust you. You will take care of me so I can go to war with you blindfolded. So that situation, what happened to this manager? He turned around. The factory wasn't doing well. He was able to turn it around because they trusted him.
Yes.
So I think people, and there is data that suggests that people leave managers, not organizations. So why is retention so low? First thing, go and check your managers. Check their leadership style. Because people may be resigning because of them and not because of the organization.
Sure. Well, that's fantastic. So if you could give a practical piece of advice to HR leaders trying to build resilient teams in 2026, what would that be and why?
I think I would say two things. One, we have to do with something I've been talking about a lot, with trust.
Great, trust.
And then the second one has to do with listening, with hearing the other voices. Get tired of hearing your own voice. If you go for a meeting, don't give your opinion first. Listen to the people who are in the meeting, because in Nigeria, once the Oga has given his opinion, everybody else, yes, in fact, that was what I was thinking. So allow others, build an atmosphere where people are looking forward to coming to the meeting because they have ideas and they want others to benefit from those ideas. I mean, we run a small shop here in the Dan Institute for Research, but I tell you, I've benefited a great deal from that. There are times in the meeting I'm thinking, hey guys, I'm a professor, But they're arguing with me. But I don't dare tell them I'm a professor, because the minute I say that, they are going to withdraw.
Yes.
So in my mind, I'm saying, they should at least have a bit of respect now. I'm a professor. I should know about research. But I keep myself quiet and then listen to them and guide them a little bit. But I always find at the end of the meeting, we have a better decision, a better solution than I came to the meeting with.
Yes.
So I think that those are the building trust. And this, what I said earlier about wisdom being at the top, is not true. It is not true.
Okay.
And if more people try that, even in HR, don't think, oh yeah, I've been in HR for 20 years, I know what the issues are. Bring up.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much, Professor Ovadje. I've definitely learned a lot. I don't know about you. Today's, in summary, we've learned that we should listen more, we should be trusting, we should have open dialogue with our staff and people that work around us. So, but before I let Professor Ovadje go, we have a little segment where I call the HR hot seat. So I'm going to ask you some fun questions. It's a leadership myth or buster. So I'll just ask you 3 questions. You can tell me whether it's a myth or it's true. So people leave managers and not companies.
True.
True. Great. Money is the biggest motivator.
False.
False. Culture is HR's responsibility.
False.
False. Okay, let's quickly go. Why do you think it's not just HR's responsibility?
Culture is everybody's responsibility.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at it as, if you say we have a culture, it means that the large majority of the employees live that way.
Okay.
They have those values.
Okay.
So if it's HR's responsibility, what happens is that it's just one more, like they do performance management, they do the other thing. So the other managers can easily say that's HR.
Yes.
But no, culture has to start from the top, and it has to be lived, embedded, such that the values of that culture are things that we all live. It's our way of life. It's the way we do things. So if we say our culture is one of integrity, our culture is one of respect, our culture is one of service, it's not an HR thing.
Yes.
HR may be the ones that drive it because they head the committee. But if I were running that, I wouldn't even put them. It would be a cross-functional team so that the staff do not think, oh, HR people have come again. No, this is not HR. This is something that is critical to the organization. Your culture is even more important than your strategy, because it's your culture that makes your strategy possible. It makes it happen.
Hence the phrase, culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Thank you. Fantastic. So, Professor, thank you for being my first guest, and thank you for your words of wisdom. I've definitely learned a lot. So, for our dear leaders out there, those that are in charge of HR, you've heard it straight from the professor herself. Culture is not just HR, that's why it's for everyone. So it starts at the top. You also have to listen, open dialogue, trust, and open communication. So if you've enjoyed this conversation, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me at LinkedIn at Abimbola A. Until next time, keep building better workplaces and stronger cultures. Thank you for listening.